What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Tamashii Nation store exclusive, the Metal Build Exia. This is pretty much going to be a bare bones edition. So we're going to be taking a look at this today. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's see what we have inside, shall we? So of course, first we do have the manual for the Exia. So we've got that. This looks like we've got the base of the stand there. So you've got that, you've got the stand there. Looks like you've got the GN sword here with the GN shield. Looks like you've got the GN drive here with the two GN blades. Looks like you've got part of the back skirt there, and then you've got two GN things there. So you've got that. And then let's take a look and see what we have here. So it looks like we have the Exia. Pull all this stuff out of here. Now, to be honest, I'm kind of glad they've gone away from the styrofoam. The styrofoam can get kind of messy when it comes to doing that. Oh, wow, look at that. So let's go ahead and pull him out. And so there you have the Exia. So it looks pretty good at first glance. So that's what you get in the box for the Exia. A pretty simple release. So let's see what this figure has to offer. So let's take a look at this Exia here. So it does look really, really nice if you are someone who really likes this design. For me personally, I've just never been into the Exia. You've heard me say that on numerous occasions. The reason why is just generally speaking, I'm not a fan of melee suits. I just am not. Ones that have just a ton of swords. I don't know. It's just a personal thing. If you love it, by all means have at it. But I think that for me personally, it's just not my style of design. This is also, to me, and this is just my personal opinion here, that this is the start of like the skeletal style mobile suits that we see prevalent today, whether that is in Gundam IBO or Witch of Mercury or the G-Quux series. You see more of like a very thin, that has less armor. Now, I'm not saying that this is bare bones. It's not like the Barbatos or something like that. But I think this is kind of like the start of it. But I think overall, I think that it looks really good. Now, I want to say that I think that this came out before the Perfect Grade. And I think that the Perfect Grade did some things that this one doesn't. But I think overall, I think that the look looks really good. I don't see too many hindrances here. Also, the fact that he has, look at where he's got a beam sabers. I didn't know that he had beam sabers on the back of the shoulder armor. I had no idea that that was the case, but you do have that. You do get the beam sabers and all the hands and stuff in there. I just forgot to mention that it's behind the base for the stand when I went through the unboxing portion, but they do have those, and we'll go over those relatively quickly. But I think for what it is, I would say that this blue is more of like a powder blue. So this reminds me a lot of the 00 Quanta, the full saber. It's that style of blue. So it's not like a deep blue like original 00 Quanta. This is more like the full saber style of color. But I think overall, now the GN drive does not light up. That would have been interesting if they had that in this one, but they don't. But I think for what it is, I think that it does look really, really good. And I'm not seeing much to be upset at, especially if you're someone who likes this style of mobile suit. So I'll be interested to put it through its paces. So that's our first look at the Exia. So let's take a look at the Exia's accessories. He doesn't have a ton in this release, so we should be able to get through this relatively quick. So first up, we have the GN sword. This is the Exia's primary weapon for the first half of the series. And it is pretty interesting. It does come with the beam rifle that is connected to the blade. So you do have that as well. So it's pretty nice. And you do have the sword hilt here. So you can kind of hold that if you want to kind of hold it straight up like a normal blade there. This part goes into the forearm there. So you do have that. But I think that overall, I think that this looks really good. So that's what you have for the GN sword. Next, you have the GN shield. So this is his primary shield. For that, if you have a sword, you should probably have a shield. But you do have that. It looks very, very nice. So that's what you have for the GN shield. Then you have the GN blade. So these pretty much are mounted on his side skirts. So you do get two of those. You get a long one and you get the short one there. So these look very, very nice as well. That's also what these are for as well. So you can mount them. So you kind of just put those in there and then mount those on the side skirts there like that. You'd probably actually have it closer to like this. So that's what you have for the GN blades. And then you do get an extra V-fin here. So it's always nice when they put an extra one just in case the other one breaks, but you do get one of those. And then you get 2 beam sabers. So you do get this. This is pretty much, it has the silver part here at the bottom. And then you kind of do have sparkles that go throughout. Not as much as in Seed, but you do have some of that in here as well. So you get 2 of those, which is the long ones, and then you do get 2 of the short ones as well, if I can grab them. But yeah, so you get 2 of those there. So those are 2 of the short ones, these are 2 of the long ones. So that's what you have for the beam sabers. And then lastly, the Exia comes with 5 sets of hands. So of course we've got the open hands here. You do get 3 for the GN swords and the blades. So you get 2 of the semi-open ones there. You get 2 of the trigger finger one style there. And then you do get another set for the GN blades or the GN sword. So you can kind of mix and match those as you see fit. And then of course he has the closed fist ones on them. So that's what you have for the hands. So that's what we have for the Exia's accessories. As I said, there's not a ton here. He is more of a melee suit, so he does get more swords than we're used to. So with the beam sabers and the swords, that's pretty much what he's got. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a look at his articulation. So let's take a look at the Exia's articulation. For the head, you've got up, you got down, you got side to side. You got a little bit there, but not too much. Can he do 360? Looks like he can. I would say just be cognizant of the sides here. They do move, so I don't think you'll have too much problems there, but you do have that. These do go up and down, so you can do that as well if you want to leave them down. But generally speaking, in the show, he had these up like that. So that's what you have for the head. For the shoulder, he can lift that a little bit higher than shoulder's length, so you've got that. He also has these 2 bands here on the side, so I don't know if that does it, but it is flexible on those sides, so you do have that. He can spin this 360. All right, and then you can also go in and out there. There is no break in the shoulder, so these don't lift up, and then you're not gonna be able to get really 360 here on the bicep just because of this band here and how that moves. So it doesn't look like you're gonna be able to spin that 360 at all. But since you don't get anything at the bicep, but it does look like you can spin it 360 at the elbow. So you still do get a little bit of articulation there. And then if we take a look at the elbow, you take that, bend that in. So that's what you have for the elbow there. You got a dual hinge here at the top and here at the bottom. For the forearm, just due to how it's designed, you're not really gonna get anything out of the forearm either. You've got this big 2 connecting pieces here on the side. So you're not really gonna get much there. For the wrist, you get a little bit of circular motion there. I don't even know if you can see that. You do get a little bit there, but not a lot. So you're not really gonna have much articulation in the wrist area either. For the chest area, let's see what he's got. He does have a good bend down. He doesn't really have anything up, so you're not really gonna be able to get anything up, unfortunately. Let's see, side to side. Not really much there either. So that's a little disappointing. Can he do 360? Let's look and see. It looks like you can get 360. I'm actually very shocked though that you can't get any kind of side to side and you can't get anything back. Now it could be just because it's brand new and it's a little stiff, but I don't think so. It doesn't look like it's meant to go backwards at all. And the fact that you don't get side to side, it looks like it's this part here that is hindering that, unfortunately. But that's what you have for the midsection. For the waist area, of course, he's got 2 front skirts. These move independently of each other. Now, generally speaking, he doesn't really have much as far as, you know, side skirts or anything like that. As you can see, this is really just the parts for the GN sword there. And then you do have some for the back skirt. You do have the blades that will go up and down, and they will go from side to side. So that's really cool. And then you do have these, this will move independently of each other as well. But that's pretty much what you have for the back. For the legs, you do get about, you can get, yep, you can get 360, just gotta work with it there a little bit. So you do have that. It doesn't really hit anything as there's not much armor pieces there. Now, in order to lift this up, let's lift this guy up and see what he's got. So he's got, can you lift that up higher, 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 higher without breaking it? I would say, generally speaking, that's maybe about 120, 125. It is a little stiff though. So you do have that for the knee. Let's see what we've got there. So you've got 2 parts for the knee. You do get a nice V there, but you've got this part here, and then you got this part here. So that's what's actually going on with that extension part there. So that's for that. And then you've got this part here as the front skirt goes flying off, but that's what you've got for the knee. For the feet, you do have this front armor part here and that one back. You do get a little bit of upwards motion here. So you do get that. You do get slight down. All right, so it will go down. There we go. You just got to work with it there. But you do have that. No side to side, really. It's really coming from the ankle right? But you do get that in the ankle, but nothing for the actual foot itself, and nothing in the back there either. So that's what you have for the foot. So that's what we have for articulation. To be honest, I'm slightly disappointed specifically in the midsection. The fact that he doesn't really get any backwards articulation or any side to side, that really hinders him. But I think overall, it's still pretty good. I wouldn't say that it's bad by any means, but you have to also remember that the 00 series specifically, that kind of started the Metal Build line. And I'm pretty sure that this mold is pretty old. I'd have to double check and see when the original Exia was initially released. But I think that this kind of is showing its age in that aspect of the design. I think if you were going to do this in 2025, I think you could definitely get a little bit more articulation out of the sides and stuff. But I think overall, it's not bad. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to put all of his armaments on and we'll go from there. So here we have the Exia fully assembled. I will say that he does look nice. I would say that the main star of all of this is probably the GN sword. I think that's probably the most unique weapon that he has here. And I just think that the way that they have this on here is really, really cool if you're someone who loves blades. So I think how they did that is really, really good. Now, how this works is that this connector piece is connected to the arm to give it a little bit more stability. I would say that generally speaking though, it doesn't really need it all that much, especially if you want this to be a little bit closer, because you know how this will kind of fold in on itself there. And then you don't really need this because it's not really that heavy. But I would say overall, I think that that probably looks really, really good. We do have the GN shield on there as well. We kind of flared those out. Those don't actually come out all that much and actually looks like they've recessed back in there a little bit, but you can pull those out, but it doesn't really come out that much. So it doesn't really change how this looks here. And then how you have the back, I think that this looks really, really good. If you are a fan of the Exia, I don't know if I would go with this one or the Perfect Grade. I think the Perfect Grade might be slightly better than this, but I do like how this looks. And if you are a fan of the Exia, I can definitely see why people like this suit, even though it's not to my personal taste, but I think that it looks great. I do wish that they had the GN drive light up just like on the 00 Quanta. And if they had the eyes light up, I think that you should, with all of the Gundam 00 suits, I think that the GN drive and having that like fluorescent green and how it would be bright, I think that they should, if they could find a way to have all of those bits here, there, on the back, on the head, have all of those lit up, I think that this would make this look so much better. And I think that's the reason why the Perfect Grade, I think, is a little bit more appealing to me than this one, but not to say that this one is bad. So that's what we have for the Exia fully assembled. What I will do next is I'm gonna bring out the 00 Quanta. We'll see what they look like standing side by side. So real quick, we're just gonna do some size comparisons real fast. Now this Exia is roughly a little bit over 7 inches. So I wanted to bring some of the other metal builds out to see how he measures up. So first we're gonna bring out the Gundam Crossbone X3. So as you can see, the Exia is slightly bigger than him. So he does look pretty good. I would say the average size for most metal builds is roughly about 7 feet, but the crossbones tend to be a little bit on the small side. So, but that's what you have for the Gundam X3. And then next we have the Metal Build Gundam, the one that came out about 2 months ago. So we do have that. I would say for this one, they're roughly about the same size. Also, just an update on this, the new shoulder pieces have been mailed out, but because of the way that I bought this guy, they're not going to give me the updated version that has the all black for instead of the gunmetal in the center for that shoulder. So that's just a little update on that, but that's what you have for the Metal Build Gundam. And then lastly, I wanted to bring out the one I really wanted to see a comparison with, and this is the Metal Build 00 Quanta. This is the original, this is not the full saber, but as you can see, the Exia actually is taller than him, which is I'm quite surprised by. But for me, as far as a comparison, as far as the designs, I've always liked the 00 Quanta better. To me, it's just a better version of the Exia. Also, it has a little bit more firepower. As I said earlier in the review, I'm not one that likes melee suits all that much. So this one gives him a little bit more weaponry on top of the GN blades and swords and all of that. And what he can do with the GN shield, I think, puts him over the top aesthetically. But to be honest, he's actually pretty small in comparison to the Exia. So I'm actually quite surprised that he's shorter than him. And as far as the blues, this is more of an electric blue. So this is kind of what we saw the 00 Quanta in the Awakening of the Trailblazers, to where with this one, this is more on the lines of the 00 Quanta Full Saber. I don't have the Full Saber out right now, but that's closer to what that palette is, the color palette, but everything else is pretty much similar. I would say that the oranges are slightly different here compared to this one. This is more of like a mustard yellow for the yellow there, but the GN bits that he has for the 00 Quanta, I still kind of like that design. But now that I have them side by side, they do have their own unique charm to themselves. And so I do think that the Exia is a good pickup if you can find him. The Tamashii Nations exclusive ones you don't generally see them stateside. That's one that you have to get over in Asia because they're usually sold at the Tamashii stores. I know that there's a Tamashii Nation store in New York and they may have it. And I know that there's one that's supposed to be opening soon in Chicago. So you never know, or at least that's the Gundam base, the one that's supposed to be in Chicago. So, but that's what we have for our comparison between the 00 Quanta and the Gundam Exia. So now we'll get into final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy, the Tamashii Nation store exclusive, the Gundam Exia. Now, as you guys know, this is not my favorite design in all of the Gundam universe. It is actually, I wouldn't say it's my least favorite, but it's kind of middle of the road for me. And so for me, it's interesting to review this guy. Now, the thing about this Exia is the fact that I'm not even sure that this is the best version of the Metal Build Exia, just because the Exia has gotten so many different releases. I mean, we got the Devised Exia, the Astrayas, we got all those variants. We got the Proto XN, we got the Exia Repair, the Repair 3 and 4, the Transand version, the 10th anniversary version. We've gotten this guy a plenty of times in the Metal Build line. And to be honest, I would probably say that if it was me, I would probably recommend the Devised Exia. It keeps the basic form of the Exia, but it adds a little bit more as far as the backpacks and stuff like that. That's just my personal thing. But if you are someone who just wants a bare bones Exia, then this is the one to get. This is the one that we saw in the show. I will say that I am slightly disappointed in its lack of articulation, specifically in the abs and the wrist. I thought that the abs, I thought I would get a little bit more side to side, and I thought I would get a little bit more going backwards. And I was just really surprised that they didn't really do that. Now, that could be due to just the design of the time. Since this mobile suit has been released so many times, I know that this one is an older mold. Now, have they made adjustments over time? I don't know. I would have to get all of the other variants to see. But I think overall, I think this is a good starter Gundam. I don't know if it's my personal favorite, but I think that it's okay. That's really the best thing that I can say about it. Melee suits just aren't my thing. They just aren't. But I think overall, I think that the articulation is still relatively good, even though the ab articulation is missing. It's pretty sturdy. I didn't really have any issues with it falling down. I do wish that what Bandai would do with a lot of the 00 suits is have the lighting gimmicks in there, specifically for the chest area. This one doesn't have it, even though it does have it for the 00 Quanta and the 00 Quanta Full Saber. But I think getting all of the GN parts, all the green parts on here, I think getting those lit up would actually give it a little bit more flair. Also, you know, the back for where the GN drive is. Other than that, I think that it's a solid entry, but it's definitely not my favorite. So out of 10, I'm gonna give this guy an 8.4. He's not bad, he's not great, but I think he's solid. And so if you are someone who's just stepping foot into the Metal Build line and you really like Gundam 00 and you really like the Exia, you know, you could go for this one, but I would probably personally prefer the Devised Exia. I think that one just looks slightly better and has a little bit more going on with him than just having a whole bunch of swords. But anyway, so that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. Send this one out to all of the Gundam 00 fans and all of the Exia fans, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.